World is over. Well, you know how that works. So now it's time for us to reflect because I had a perfect bracket. If if anybody's bracket is clean after Worlds and you can prove it, show me, and I will. I don't know what I'll do. I'll get you something really fucking dope. Because if you predicted that stuff, incredible. Craziness. Hey, before we begin, shout out to the sponsors, MetaThread. We're affiliated. Use code F. Save money. It's dope. I get money sick. Worlds, baby. So let's talk about the intangibles before we get into the whole bracket deal. All right. Let's just talk about the show because real talk, this was the best Worlds I have had in years. Straight up. The crowd was different. So it's interesting. Smite has dug its little spot in this corner of the internet, and we exist, and Smite's very successful. It's not going anywhere, but it's not jettisoning into the atmosphere. You know, it grows, but it's not it's a steady, it is what it is what I'm saying, right? But every year I encounter multiple people, not just one or two, but a fair amount of people who are there for the first time. And so I think that's really sick. Seeing new people there every single time is really, really cool. But also the crowd this year. So in years past, I have said to younger talent, whether it's players or just newer casters or whatnot, I've said, don't talk to the crowd ever because you don't know what you're going to get. And all rules are meant to be broken. And in general, you should approach every show never expecting to talk to the crowd. Because if you're like, all right, who's ready for a fucking crazy day? Crickets. You failed, right? This was probably the first HRX where I felt comfortable talking to the crowd. We walked on stage, people were going nuts. I mean, this was a big, big show. I was very excited to see how many heads were really that amped for Smite. Because there's usually an overall crowd, don't get me wrong, but this was a different level. And so to see that level of hype was really cool. And it was for the individual teams. And you want to talk about teams and games. I think this was the best Smite World Championship we've had. Period. As far as gameplay is concerned, this might have been just the best. So Sanguine and Team Rival, Team Rival beat them as expected. Sanguine are there with a substitute and still find a way to, bring, what was it, game number 2 went in Sanguine's direction. They ultimately get swept, but Sanguine don't go down without a fight. And that's surprising. That was the worst of all weekend. Dignitas Knights, Dignitas or Knights are coming in with a hamstring. Rowe playing in the solo lane, and Knights, Deathwalker the mid lane. This is not as good of a team as Dignitas, and this still wound up being a fun set. Rowe held his own. Rowe did not feed or was Rowe held his own. He was definitely not a standout solo laner, and Deathwalker definitely wasn't a standout mid laner, and they wouldn't have won a world championship. But I respected the team, and that's a really big deal because I would have been very angry. Let's just take a trip down. If Knight did not present a competitive team, and this spot was this game was nonsense because the Knights weren't competitive at all, I would have been extremely mad at the Knights. Because I understand doing what you got to do, but that would have been disrespectful if this team gets up there and is just trash. So I was very happy with what happened here. We'll come back to Splyce. Renegades and E United, I got what I asked for. E United, I just didn't think they were a good team. I think E United was the worst team on the stage. Obviously Sanguine. So second to worst team on the stage. Renegades got through here bumpy, but got through. And then Splyce SK Gaming. Just watch all of the SK sets. You got to watch all the SK sets. Splyce and SK Gaming, Splyce just sort of get raffle stomped. Like, Aurora doesn't do what Aurora does, and Scream disappeared. No Scream in this tournament. And what had me putting Splice above Renegades, reluctantly, was Scream playing out of his mind. Scream was the hottest thing on two wheels, and he dis-a-fucking-peered. Did not show up whatsoever. And SK Gaming take the set. Scream, where are you? Oh, brother, where art thou? SK Renegades was... This was the set. I got to cast this set with Toli. I haven't listened back to it yet. I'll probably watch it on stream at some point. But this was the set, man. This was 5 hours, something long like that. Maybe 4.5. And oh my god. This was fun Smite to watch. SK Gaming just... Zapman was diving Phoenixes and stuff. And then... Oh, man. Craziness. And then finals was the reverse sweep for SK. There was that weird restart. But SK wins the first one. And Rival win it back to win the second one. At that point, I feel like any remembrance of the restart is kind of out of the player's mind. Yes, of course. I'm not sitting here and shilling for high res. It should be better, and I wish it was. But talking about the game that it is, we had the restart, and after the 1-1 split, just the best of 3 for finals, I was on the edge of my seat. Watching SK Gaming take that was fantastic. I'm so happy that watching Sam win a championship was really cool. People talk about Sam. I mentioned this during the post-game interview, and he did not want to engage. But Sam plays a cool exterior. But Sam for Soccer is one of these guys that really, really wants it. Every player wants to win games, of course, but there are some players that really care and really love this game and its legacy and what it stands for. We look at players like Cherio for that, and Sam is quietly that guy as well. So I was very excited to see him not only win, but win the MVP, take Worlds with him. This was a rememberable Worlds. This was one of the best Worlds we have had since it is year 6, Legacy takes a long time. Tradition isn't created overnight. Having 3 years of history and then a launch tournament to look back on is respectable. But having the story that you have this year, SK Gaming, the play-in team, 4-5 in the first phase, 4-5 in the second phase. Overall, a losing record, 8-10. This was the marathon season to see what team was best over time. And although they didn't wind up with the best record, they certainly bring home the trophy at the end of it because they had outlasted everybody else. You look at Knights, the trials and tribulations of the season, removed their mid laner. You look at Sanguine, they make it all the way through their minor league time, but can't bring their solo laner here. You look at Splice, and they were arguably one of the best teams with who I thought Scream was the best player in Smite at the time, but they were hot at the moment, and they cooled down. Same thing with Renegades. Renegades were hot at Midseason Invitational, and they cooled down. United had people just in and out of the playing scene. SK Gaming stuck it together. I think that's sick. And then you look at the players on the team, like we said, Sam and Paul, their rookie season, they were supposed to be something crazy last year, and they perform well, and they actually catch a bunch of steam during the finals, or Worlds, but they just get to semifinals. Now you reload that. Paul comes a little bit down to earth from a spectacular rookie season, and Sam is the one that elevates. Belair is still over there kind of playing averagely, but when it counts, he steps up. It's funny because he played a lot of Achilles, and up until this point, I think you could call him the Achilles heel of the team. I think you look at that guy and you go, the rest of the team's doing it. And then Zapman and Neil Ma. I mean, Zapman legacy in Smite. Like, Zapman is one of the. We look at Barracuda for being the poster child of Smite. You know, people look towards Ataraxia. Polar Bear Mike has taken that stanchion point. Zapman has been there for me. I got into Smite when Zapman was playing for Team Dignitas with Lazes and Anatoly, and Zapman's one of the original gangsters, so to speak. He really has been since the jump, and there are up and down opinions of him, but again, you don't create legacy overnight. Having Zapman, one of the dominant players and teams from Season 0, and yet they never won anything. That Zapman, Laz's, Anatoly, Shadow Q team, that was the team. That they won every week. They were the team. And then they never won anything worth a shit. Maybe SiegeCon or something. But like, Zapman finally got his chip. The two rookies from last year did it. Belair and Neil Ma. Like, everyone loves Neil. Just a good story. Just a good story. Like I said, the crowd was fucking insane. The crowd was incredible. Watching the Knights, because the Knights' players' families was there, and they go hard. Like Emilzy and everybody, they have a really good support system. And so when they got to the finals, they were just watching people pick sides between SK and Rival. Was really fun. People were emotional. People were crying in the stands. People were screaming. Polar Bear Mike and Rival had these guys. You had 3 dudes. You had a bunch, like maybe 4 or 5 dudes. PBM they painted on their chest. They painted Twig on their chest as well. This was a Worlds. This was a fucking sick Worlds. It was awesome. The games were dope. The people were dope. We had some good time. Somebody was walking around with a poster, and this happens every year, where the casters like talk shit. Where like Aggro will sign, and then Finch will go, I want to sign your Aggro, and be like, Finch, P.S. Aggro sucks. And then Hindu will sign, and he'll be like, both of these guys suck. And then Taco will come over and be like, you know, I'm on the other side, but I can still see how much you suck. And like, I don't know. Good people, good food. It's con food. It wasn't good food. But it was good games. Some of the best games we've had in years. My bracket got busted, and I couldn't be happier. SK fucking Gaming. Let's go, baby. Like I said, if you can prove to me that you had a straight bracket with SK winning, come to me. I'll figure something out. I will get you a present. Let me know how your Worlds went. You liked it, you didn't like it, you're crazy. Somewhere in between. Comments, subscribing, and liking. Peace.